Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Saturday, April the 4th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith with you, ready to break down a massive Saturday NHL slate. Tons of games, tons of bets, as you would expect from me, especially on this Saturday, ready to break things down. And like I said, we've only got 2 more Saturdays of these big regular season NHL slates to talk about. So enjoy them while they're here. We'll be in the Stanley Cup playoffs 3 weeks from now on a Saturday. So big card. Looking forward to breaking it down in just a bit. But first, we'll look back, of course, on yesterday and the Friday NHL slate. Only 2 games, but both had implications in the playoffs. Philadelphia, what a great performance from them. They stormed out of the gate strong, dominated the first period. That's now twice in a big spot now. The Islanders have had some rough starts at home. That's concerning. Like, these are supposed to be the games you bring it, and you're especially ready from opening puck drop. Islanders couldn't have been fucking worse from opening puck drop last night. Philly just took it to them, jumped on the board 2-0 after that opening 20. Owen Tippett, great give-and-go goal with Sanheim. Sanheim was outstanding last night, by the way. Assist on that first goal. He got a goal later in the game. I keep saying it, one of the most underappreciated, under-talked about defensemen in the NHL. He's very, very solid and doesn't get the accolades and the credit often that he deserves. He was excellent for the Flyers last night. And a 4-1 win. Islanders got it to 3-1 when they were down 3-0, and they had some good looks when they were down 3-1 in the third. But then again, the Sanheim goal that made it 4-1 put it away. We cashed with the Philadelphia Flyers money line in that game, but man alive, it should have been a 2-0 sweep. Oh my God, the tough beat, brutal luck with the over 5.5, 7 minutes nearly of empty net time to end that game. And what did we see? We saw Islanders couldn't get a goal with the extra attacker. That's number one. Number two, Philadelphia missed 5 or 6 chances at the empty net. And my own Hamilton, fellow Hamiltonian, well, he's from Stony Creek, suburb of Hamilton, but Matthew Schaefer basically playing better goaltending for the New York Islanders last night than Ilya Sorokin did to keep some of those empty net chances out. I mean, he played goal. Like, he blocked 3 potential empty net goals for Philadelphia there. So that was extremely excruciating because we should add that over. But oh well, we get out of there with the split. Disappointing. Should have been 2-0, but 4-1 Flyers. And this gets real interesting because they are now 1 point behind the Islanders with 88 points, and they join that pack of teams: Ottawa, Columbus, Detroit, with 88 points. So it is just a logjam right now. As far as the race for that second wild card spot. But now Philly's got 2 pathways to get in. Not just second wild card, but they're 1 behind the Islanders for 3rd in the Metro with a game in hand. So, yeah, like I said, they can be done now for this Flyers team. They are very much in it. Yeah, that's what I get for going with shots on goal, man. I finally get involved. I finally find a shots on goal prop I love, and we only got the 1 shot from Porter Martone last night. So that's the way it goes, man. That's why I hate betting those damn things. And that's why I'm going to go back into my little cocoon after last night and not bet him for a while again. Yeah.
We all liked him in some form or fashion. Me and David both had him as a bargain bin for a goal, and the way that he had been shooting, and the kind of just the way that he felt very comfortable getting involved in the play, and you have 14 shots over your first 2 games. It made sense to take those bets. Just like I said, didn't come through, and we have to remember he's still a young kid making his 3rd NHL appearance, so he's gonna have nights where he may disappear, and that was one of them.
Well, and don't forget too, when you talk about the shots on goal props, Martone, the first game against Washington, clearly he's excited and probably shooting that puck quite a bit. Yeah, that old line was quiet last night. And don't forget the other game where he had the 9 shots on goal. Philly was trailing for much of that game. Last night they were ahead pretty much from start to finish most of that game. So you're not going to shoot the puck nearly as much when you're talking about, obviously, when you're playing with the lead. So that probably negatively impacted the chances of Porter Martone going over his shots on goal as well. But great win for the Flyers. That's the best part about that game, is that we at least we were able to cash with the Flyers there at a plus price. I mean, what do we say about Anaheim in the second game? I mean, bitterly disappointing, really, really concerning. That their defensive game is basically unraveled again the last few games. The San Jose collapse late, the St. Louis game where they give up 6 goals to the St. Louis Blues last night. So very, very concerning. The Blues keep their very faint playoff hopes alive. And for Anaheim now, it's a dead heat, them in Edmonton. Anaheim and Edmonton are tied for first in the Pacific Division, and now both teams have the same amount of games remaining. So this is right down to the wire here as far as the division now. And I'm worried a little bit about my little a great price on it, Anaheim plus 450 to win the Pacific.
Right.
But boy, Edmonton's playing much better. They've figured it out defensively, Edmonton, in this recent win streak, and here's Anaheim kind of going the other way. Now, this is Coach Q. He's been here before with teams that's, hit a rough patch. I don't think we can just give up on Anaheim. They can find their way out of it, but it's going to take everybody. Like, they've got to just be way more diligent about what they're doing in their own D zone right now. It's just not been strong enough. I think Dostal bears some responsibility. He could play a little bit better as well, but I think more so it's about the D. They are just they're exposing their goalies to way too much high danger right now, and they're paying the price for it. But credit the Blues, still alive, although still an uphill battle for them. Alex, anything you want to add about Friday?
Yeah, that was a nice first period over to hit with that Anaheim.
Oh, yeah,
St. Louis
great job.
game.
Best bet for Alex. Easy.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's a reason why that made that the best bet. Like I said, their defense has been struggling right now. And with Coach Q and the fact that there's a few games left, if they can take care of business, get that division wrapped up, or at least get their playoff passport stamped officially, wouldn't shock me at all to maybe see game 81, game 82 for Anaheim be a low and slow kind of game. Work on our defense, pull back a little bit on the offense, and try and get things ready for the playoffs. I think I could see them kind of working on that maybe in the last few contests once they get things kind of shored up and solidified. So that's a note that I made next to that game with Anaheim, is that, as bad as 4-game losing streak is this time heading into that, Q's definitely a coach who's going to have them working on the proper X's and O's those last couple of games. If they're throwaway games, they'll work on that and get that kind of tightened up a little bit before game 1, round 1.
Yeah, and tightening up is definitely what they are going to need a little bit of. There's no question. All right, let's get into Saturday's slate. It is a big Saturday card. There's just tons of games that have major playoff implications going day and night. It is a grand total of 15 games. There's only 2 teams not in action here on this Saturday. We'll begin with the first game of a Saturday afternoon ABC Hockey Saturday doubleheader, Detroit Red Wings and New York Rangers. Red Wings minus 140, road favorites, 6 the total here in this game. Detroit getting a much-needed win to stop their own bleeding against Philadelphia on Thursday, but on the backs of John Gibson, who was terrific. Philadelphia outshot, outplayed, outchanced Detroit, but Gibson was the difference. And Detroit was opportunistic, being able to put, I believe, 5 actually it was, past Sam Ersson in that victory over the Philadelphia Flyers. So a little bit of positive momentum here for the Detroit Red Wings coming off. Actually, it was only 4 goals, 4-2 win against Philadelphia. The New York Rangers, they've been pretty plucky lately, pretty feisty. They've won 3 of their last 4 on this homestand. Chicago, Florida, New Jersey. I admire the fact that they were down 2-0 to Montreal. They came back, they tied it, and then it was a Cole Caulfield goal to give Montreal the lead and the win 3-2 late in that third period. So the Rangers have been playing with a little bit more. They've been competitive. The effort's been better from this team. What I don't like for the Rangers, though, is Jonathan Quick being announced in net, because Shesterkin's been pretty good lately for the Rangers. And Jonathan Quick, you throw out a shutout against Calgary, which isn't saying a whole lot. His only other 2 starts post-Olympic break were both against New Jersey, and he really had a rough game both times. 5 goals allowed, 6 goals allowed in his 2 starts against New Jersey. So I do have concerns. Remember, this Ranger defense is still, it ain't great. It's not the 94 Rangers on that blue line. So, like I said, I worry now. Let's be honest, Shesterkin bails them out a lot of the time. Like, even in these recent games, Rangers have given up chances. Shesterkin's been phenomenal. He really has played well down the stretch, and give him credit for being dialed in and still playing at a high level with a lousy season and a lousy team that he's playing for. But it's different here with Quick in this one. So, like I said, that's that great scene from Jim Carrey's Liar, Liar. Liar, Liar was an underrated Jim Carrey movie. The pen is blue. He goes, the pen is blue. The pen is blue. The goddamn pen is blue. That's how I feel betting Detroit right now. I'm betting Detroit. I'm betting Detroit. God damn, I'm betting Detroit. Yes, I am betting Detroit for better, for better or worse. I'm going to take a shot here. Small, but I'm going to split a money line and team total for the Detroit Red Wings here. I think you got to put the hammer down. If you want to make the playoffs, you got to get 2 points here against this Rangers team playing quick instead of Shesterkin. You got to get the job done here. So I will do that. And small because this is the Red Wings. But Detroit minus 140 split with team total over 3.5 at a slight plus price for me to get the day started. Alex, I think you're thinking Detroit, but in a different way. What do you think here, Detroit, New York Rangers?
Yeah, I mean, it always starts with one. So I'm going with that first goal, first period look, plus 115 with the Red Wings. Like I said, if they're going to make a push, make a stand, and break through this wall of 88s that's going on right now, right, with all these things, 4 different teams at 88 points, they got to start off hot and early. And that's certainly something you can do against the New York Rangers at home. We've seen that all year long. And like I said, even though they're playing more spirited hockey, it's actually a better thing. This is not a Ranger team that's kind of just playing low and slow at home now. They finally got some energy and some emphasis and kind of playing with pride as well. So I think that's going to open things up for Detroit. So I will also live look the first period over. Of course, we're going to be on for a while, so I'll mention that during the broadcast and in the chat. But first period over for me, along with Detroit first goal, first period.
Good stuff. As far as props, DeBrincat can hit a milestone, I believe, today for him with one more goal for the Detroit Red Wings. Now, the price isn't great at all, plus 140 because it's Alex DeBrincat. But, yeah, he's one away from 50. So, you do want to keep that in mind. And I know Mikey mentioned that in our group chat, but he might be someone to look at. Talked about Emmett Finney before. Patrick Kane, talked about can he have a big moment? He finally got one the other night against Philadelphia. So maybe that gets him rolling here, Mr. Sir Patrick Kane down the stretch for the Detroit Red Wings. The only props I'd consider for the Rangers are Perreault and maybe Sikora, Adam Sikora again, who, of course, has scored in multiple games for the Rangers since his call-up. So those would be two that maybe I'd be interested in there. All right, let's go to Minnesota versus Ottawa. And, yeah, it is Gibson and Quick confirmed in that game. Wild Senators, Ottawa minus 130, home favorites, 6 the total in this one. I mean, Minnesota's not a team I'm excited to bet on at this stage of the season because it feels like, barring Dallas collapsing and losing every game the rest of the way, they're probably locked into third, which means they're going to start that most likely first-round series against the Dallas Stars on the road in the opening round. So, balls to the wall effort from Minnesota. I'm not necessarily expecting that game in and game out. For Ottawa, you should expect that. Now, that doesn't always resulted in a win for this hockey team, although it was a very solid response, very good response after the horrendous just clown show, disaster, whatever you want to call it, against Florida. It was such a debacle that game. To come back and beat Buffalo Thursday night, very, very solid response by this Ottawa Senators team. But they are still a mash unit on the blue line. Shabbat, Gilbert, and just when they've already had Yakimchuk, Jensen, Sanderson, and now Tyler Clevin gets injured in the Buffalo game. He's out week to week. So more bad news, and his injury ain't going to be short-term. Upper body week to week. There is finally a bit of good news that this could be the game where Jake Sanderson returns. He is currently listed as a game-time decision for this matchup here against the Minnesota Wild, and they desperately need him. I mean, even if it's maybe a little rust for him coming back, first game in a while, they need all the help they can get, the Ottawa Senators right now on this blue line. So we'll see if he plays. Now, he was skating in practice yesterday, so it kind of hints at the fact he might be back and give it a go and make his return here for the Senators today, which would be a huge boost. I'm going to dabble in over 6 here. I still think this is a team that could struggle defensively with all these injuries. Minnesota, we talked about how that over streak cooled off. Well, it's ramping up again. I think they've gone 3 of their last 4 to the over. So I'm going to dabble just a little bit. It's an early game. These games could be 6-5. They could be 3-2. I've seen both ends of the spectrum with these 1 p.m. Eastern early start games. So, but I think with Ottawa, I still look at that. Now, they tightened it up big time against Buffalo, and Allmark played well. And so even with those defensive injuries, they kept it a lower scoring game. I think that's more a product of Buffalo. Buffalo has really been trying to preach patience, low and slow. Don't cheat for offense. Lindy Ruff's been talking about. So I think Buffalo kind of dragged that pace down every bit as much as Ottawa did the other night. So Minnesota, not that same way. They kind of get up and down the ice more, especially since Quinn Hughes got there. So I'm going to take a shot with over 6 here and give me the draw too in this game. I'm not going to take either side. I mean, I could only look at Ottawa, but I'm not laying $1.30 with this MASH unit blue line right now. But I will go with the draw, and I'll go a little bit with the over as well. Alex, Minnesota, Ottawa.
Yeah, this didn't make my draw season parameters, but like I said, East versus West, like I said, Minnesota being kind of locked in place is what kind of took me away from the draw here in this one. But I do like the over for that reason. Got Wallstead in that. They kind of just, like I said, can play a little bit more open, a little bit more loose. Ottawa certainly has way more to play for in this one. And with that, banged up blue line, it seems like, even if they are going to win a game, it's going to be, a track meet. It's going to be a boat race when you have that many defensemen out. So at over 6, I laid the $1.15 early this morning with that.
All right, there you go. Good stuff. As far as props for this game, couple. Dylan Cousins. He's really been stepping up. As Ottawa's games have become bigger, he's become more noticeable. He got them going with that tying goal against his old team, the Buffalo Sabres, Thursday night. So I kind of like Dylan Cousins there for a goal prop for Ottawa. The one you got to bet for Minnesota is Ryan Hartman. Ryan Hartman has scored in 3 straight games for the Minnesota Wild, plus 370. We've talked about what a streaky bastard he is. We've talked about that for, it feels like years on this show, that when he scores in bunches. He can go 12 games without it doing anything, and then he, bam, 4 games in a row with a goal. This has been Ryan Hartman to a T over the years. So when he starts to feel it like he is right now, 3 straight where he's found the back of the net, you roll with it, especially when you're looking at a price like plus 370 for Ryan Hartman here to find the back of the net for the Minnesota Wild. All right, let's move along now to the second of the 2 games on ABC on their Saturday doubleheader. We've got, and it's a good one, Colorado and Dallas. Colorado, slight road favorites here in Dallas, minus 115, total 6 across the board. Colorado can bury Dallas and put the division away with a win. It's really that simple. If they beat Dallas, that pretty much all but locks up the Central Division for the Colorado Avalanche. And even if Dallas wins, Colorado's still in pretty good shape, but obviously that does open the door for Dallas a little bit more, at least if the Stars win. But definitely for the Stars, this is like, this is it. I mean, if you don't win today, you're not winning the division. Probably not anyway, but you're definitely not if you don't win this game here this afternoon. That being said, I saw it. I think Alex did. Did you see Jared Bednar after the Vancouver loss? He was ticked. He was furious. He wasn't having any of it with what we were talking about, that it was a throwaway game, that it was a game where, hey, it's Vancouver. We just drilled Calgary. We didn't need to play our best. We didn't need to play our A game. He wasn't interested. He said, not good enough, unacceptable, the way the Avs played against Vancouver. And you could tell right away they were just off. Defense was terrible in that game. Goaltending wasn't much better. Sloppy throughout that hockey game against one of the worst team in the Western Conference. And he was livid. He was not happy. He says, if we're going to bring this kind of game with us, in the playoffs, it's going to be a short stay, were his words. So, yeah, he wasn't happy. I would expect this game will have, and this opponent will have, Colorado's attention here this afternoon. I'm going to take a shot with Colorado first goal, first period here against Dallas. This is a team they hate. This is a team that's beaten them out of the playoffs 2 years in a row, including that heartbreaking Game 7 where they had the lead in the third, and then it became the Mikko Rantanen carry the team on his back show to turn that game and series around. I would think Colorado's ready to go from opening puck drop. Now, we'll see about winning the full game, but I do think first goal, first period with the Avs does make some sense here after Bednar read them the riot act following that loss to Vancouver. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with an over trifecta here a little. Now, last time, it had been an over bonanza with these 2 teams until the last time they played each other, which finally was a lower scoring game. But I'm going to go with it here. First period over, and both teams to score first period, along with that Colorado first period, first goal, plus that over. Now, the over 6 at even money. Let me see what I got with it. Yeah, minus 110. So, a little bit better. I think it was 6.5 last game, but we're going to go with that, plus the Colorado first goal. And I'm going to go with the draw here. It's pretty hard not to when it comes to Avs Stars, because I believe every regular season game this year, Colorado versus Dallas, has reached overtime. And yes, actually all three of them have been decided in a shootout. So if you really want to get creative, you could actually bet at some sports books. I know 365 has it. You can bet this game to go to a shootout.
Yep.
And all three meetings this year between the Avs and the Stars have gone to a shootout. 5-4 for Dallas in Colorado, October 11th. Colorado won 5-4 in a shootout here in Dallas, March 6th. And then it was Dallas winning 2-1 in a shootout 12 days later in Colorado on March 18th. So you can sprinkle on that, and I might do that as well, just this game to go to a shootout here with Colorado and Dallas. But and then as far as props, Alex, this game I love for props. This is maybe my favorite prop game of the day for value. And I'm going to give it away right now. My daytime, I have 2 bargain bin specials. Day bargain bin special. We're going back to the well, man. Parker Kelly, Colorado, plus 800. He scored in 3 straight games for this team. He's been feeling it for them. That is my bargain bin special for the day slate. Parker Kelly, plus 800. See if he can make it 4 straight games with a goal for this Colorado Avalanche team. And like I said, we had a bargain bin winner with him the other night. See if we can keep the hot streak going as he looks for 4 straight games with a goal here this afternoon. And then there's a bunch of others I like. Gabe Landeskog, plus 375. Great value on Gabe Landeskog for Colorado. The guy taking the spot and filling the shoes of Cale Makar on the blue line for the Colorado Avalanche. Sam Malinsky, who has got an influx in minutes and ice time, obviously without Makar. Number 1 power play unit, the whole bit. And we saw what he did with it against Vancouver. Got an assist and he scored a goal. And in fact, Sam Malinsky has scored goals now in back-to-back games and 3 of the last 5 games. And you could get him in the plus 850 range to score a goal tonight, or this afternoon rather, for the Colorado Avalanche. So Sam Malinsky plus 850. He's looking for 3 straight games with a goal from the blue line for the Colorado Avalanche as well. I like what I'm seeing out of that Finnish kid, Arttu Haru, for the Avs. 11-1. I like the kind of burst he's given this team. Arttu Haru, I think that's how you pronounce it. Matt Duchene, he's an Avalanche killer. He likes scoring against this team. One of his former teams. He's plus 320, and he scored in back-to-back games, Matt Duchene, coming into this one. Jamie Benn has had success scoring against Colorado as well. I would also maybe, if you really want to get nuts, Yoel Kiviranta for Colorado. He has scored against his old team, Dallas, in the past. That's another former player angle. So this has been certainly, this is a game where there's a lot of goal prop value, a crazy amount of goal prop value. So very interesting to see how it plays out. But yeah, very excited about all these different goal props that we're seeing here. Wait a minute. Let me see. It looks like Malinsky has been bumped to Taves. Not playing. Taves. Okay, you're talking about Taves. I thought I saw Makar there for a minute. Yeah, Makar's out. Taves is playing. Okay, so Taves is going to be back maybe on the top power play unit. Maybe not Malinsky here this afternoon. That doesn't change the fact that I think it's a good bet still, Malinsky to score.
Right.
He scored in back-to-back games, plus 850. That's a price that I can't turn down. But Alex, what do you think here, Colorado, Dallas?
All right, I hope you can get me because my internet's been kind of in and out. But this is a good game, and this is a game where I think we could. Okay, you got me all right. We can see a couple of different things happen here. If Colorado jumps out early, which makes sense, I think you have first goal, first period. It makes a lot of sense with what Bednar's comments were. You kind of wonder if maybe Dallas could say, "Hey, listen, this is a team we're more than likely going to end up facing after in the second round. Could be playing them again. Let's not show our entire hand against this Avalanche team. They're going to go on and win the division. And even with Colorado, same thing. If you're up 3-0, what is your onus to really press and make this a 6-0, 7-0 beatdown? So this is one where I want to grab both teams to score in the first period, plus 180 pregame, because I do think Colorado jumps out early, but I think Dallas could counter and answer. And then I grab draw just off, like I said, series history. You can get 11-1 at Caesars if you like this game to go to a shootout for a fourth straight meeting. But just a little piece of the draw at plus 310. I'll have some smaller pieces of those. It's not my favorite draw of the day. But this could be a game where, there's a little bit of maybe chess being played, especially if it's, Avalanche jump up 2-0, 3-0. All right, they were going to roll and win this game, but they're not going to show too much because these guys know they're going to have to possibly face each other down the road.
Yeah, no question. There's definitely could be and that's going to be interesting. Does Dallas just, fritter away and let it go if they fall behind by multiple goals here in this game? That's going to be what remains to be seen here. But like I said, it'll be interesting to see how this could be a game too, where live betting, and finding an opportunity live based on the flow of the game and what the score is at the current time. Yeah, that could definitely be something to note. So like I said, very interesting to see how this one plays out. It's a pretty intriguing, I should say, game here between these two teams. And like I said, this could go a long way to just about sealing the Central Division. Certainly a Colorado win in regulation would definitely go a long way here to sealing the division. Good stuff. So I mentioned all the props. Good. That means we can move on to the next game as the afternoon slate continues. These next two games, both of them are starting at 5 p.m. Eastern. Boston, Tampa Bay next up. Tampa Bay minus 180, home favorites. The total here sitting at 6.5, depending on where you look here in this game. Boston on the road's always tricky, right? I mean, we have certainly seen instances here of the Boston Bruins struggling on the road. Look no further than the Florida game just a couple of weeks ago, where we had all kinds of issues, or last game against the Florida Panthers, where we saw obviously this team struggle in that game. They got behind, and they just didn't look right. They didn't play well. They were the first to admit it. It was a poor game by their standards against Florida, although Florida's done a nice job of rising up all of a sudden and playing spoiler a little bit here these last two games against Ottawa and Boston. See how the Bruins respond here. I would expect them to play a whole lot better here against a team like the Tampa Bay Lightning. Of course, Tampa is still battling Buffalo for first in the Atlantic, so there's plenty on the line when it comes to the Lightning here. I kind of think plus 150 shows just a tinge of value with Boston, but it's not easy to pull the trigger on that simply because of the fact that they've struggled so much on the road. One thing I want to note, Chris Otto's charts point this out. Boston's been trending heavily first period over lately, and this series has trended to overs as well. So I'm going to go with the over by Fecta here with Bruins and Lightning. It's hard to explain it, but suddenly Bruins are scoring, and they're just giving up a few more goals too in recent games. They've been trending over. One thing of note too, 8 of the last 10 games for both of these teams have gotten to 6 or more goals. 8 of the last 10. So that means if you're betting over 6, push could be your worst case scenario here. Again, these teams have been trending heavily to 6+ goals. 8 of the last 10 games for both the Bruins and the Lightning have gotten to at least 6 goals. So I'm going to go over by Fecta here in this one. Kind of lean Boston at the price, but like I said, not sure I'm going to actually move on it. Alex, what do you think here with Boston, Tampa Bay?
Yeah, I'm on the over by Fecta here as well as the draw. I grabbed the draw plus 325. Both teams needing points, not really in each other's way necessarily. Tampa's trying to grab that division title, while Boston's just trying to get into the playoffs. So at plus 325, that's a decent price. But I do like this first period over quite a bit, and I did tag, like you said, the over 6 is based off of that series history. I could see this one being a game going both ways and a little entertaining. These are two teams that there's a rivalry. They don't like each other. And I'm sure they both kind of feel like, hey, we might see them down the road. I don't think that's the case necessarily with these two teams playing, but they know that, hey, we're both going to be in the playoffs, and this is a game where we need to really ramp the intensity up. So I think the goals will be there. So over by Fecta and the draw for me in this one.
All right, over by Fecta and draw here for Alex with Bruins and Lightning. This is another game where I thought prop-wise, there's some good stuff here. Pavel Zacha. He's been red hot, and he's plus 340. Fraser Minton scored last game. He's still on the top line, plus 480. Victor Arvidsson, he's even started to pick it up, plus 320 for Boston. And Rachel tipped us off to this Thursday. Anthony Cirelli's been getting all kinds of chances. The puck hadn't been going in for him, and sure enough, what happens Thursday? He gets a hat trick. in the win against Pittsburgh. I'm going to go back to the well with Cirelli. If he continues to generate chances at the rate he's been generating them, then all of a sudden you see a price like plus 290 is what I'm seeing for him to score in this game this afternoon. That ends up being some pretty good value here as well. All right, next up, the last of the afternoon matchups. It is Florida and Pittsburgh. We've got Pittsburgh minus 220 home favorites, 6.5 the total. I'm keeping this pretty straightforward. Give Florida credit. I mean, the last couple games, they've played spoiler. They've beaten Boston and Ottawa, teams with stuff a lot to play for. Boston's trying to clinch a playoff spot. Ottawa's just trying to get in, and the Panthers have stepped up, and they've played pretty well, obviously, the last couple of games. Ottawa was pretty pathetic, though, and Boston wasn't very good either. So I think that played a part in it. Now you have a Pittsburgh team that's coming off a loss to Tampa Bay in their last game. And one thing about the Penguins, while they've got their issues defensively and goaltending is still shaky, regardless of Shilov's or Skinner, this has been a team that's been a good response team. They haven't lost 2 games in a row very often since the Olympic break. They lost to Carolina. They beat Winnipeg. They did have one pair of back-to-back losses, Carolina, Colorado, then they beat Ottawa. They lost to Dallas. They pounded the Islanders the very next game. They've been a good response team, the Pittsburgh Penguins. But I'm going to go the team total route. If I like Pittsburgh, I don't like them when they're favored like this. I don't touch the money line. I don't touch the regulation, any of that. I just go, if I like Pittsburgh, I'm going to bet their team total over, because if they win, it's by scoring goals. Simple as that. So I like Pittsburgh's team total over 3.5 here against Florida. Have to take over 6.5. Have to. 13-2 is the run now for the Pittsburgh Penguins to the over in their last 15 games. Yes, there's been a couple of unders, but not many. Still 13-2 streak for the Pittsburgh Penguins to the over in their last 15 games. So we're going to continue to ride that. It couldn't have been easier, really, the over the other night with Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay. They continue to be a team that, look, they're playing in track meets. They're not good enough defensively or goaltending consistently to keep the other team off the score sheet. And, of course, they're able to score goals themselves. So over 6.5 as well. And this is a good prop game, too. Another game where I found some good value with props. Even for Florida. How about return of the Mackie Samoskevich, plus 400. He's scored in 3 straight games for this Florida Panthers team. He's getting all this ice time because of everybody that's out for the Panthers right now. He's taken advantage of it. AJ Greer has scored in 3 of the last 5 games. He's playing in a top 6 role right now. Plus 600 for the pest, known as AJ Greer for the Florida Panthers. And then for Pittsburgh, Shinikov, plus 245. Mantha, plus 300. Not a great price, but he is absolutely on a massive heater right now. Ricard Raquel for Pittsburgh at plus 210. So a lot of good goal prop value here as well. Alex, what do you think with Florida, Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I kept it real simple and went with the draw here at plus 355. I just thought that price didn't add up to how Florida is playing the string out right now. The last 2 games, like I said, they've kind of relished that spoiler role, even though we've seen all these call-ups come up and a lot of guys out for the year, but they're still hanging around and pestering, and they're pestering the good teams. And so Pittsburgh, needing points, this is one where I felt like, okay, at plus 355, I had to grab a little piece of the draw. There are things that I would be looking for live, and you mentioned goal scorer props. Definitely could be a game where we see a lot of goals, and obviously with that Pittsburgh over trend, I'll be looking for that live. 6.5 still high, but I think there'll be some moments where we maybe would get that at a flat 6.
All right, good. Yeah, that's another thing too. You don't have to bet at pregame. This, maybe you do get a little bit of a lull in the scoring, and you're going to get obviously an opportunity for to get a 6 or maybe even a 5.5 live in game. So that is certainly an approach you can take. All right, that's all the afternoon games. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them in the afternoon. The rest of the games on this Saturday slate are all night games, and we will start with Winnipeg-Columbus. Big game here. Both teams needing points. We've got the Blue Jackets minus 140 home favorites, 6 the total. This is like, who do you trust less between these two teams at the moment? I mean, the Jackets, the coach bump is done for Bones. You knew it was going to happen eventually, that they had to hit a rough patch, and They've hit a rough patch. Just as they get into a playoff spot, they hit their worst run of the season since Rick Bowness took over as head coach. So it's difficult right now to get involved with the Jackets, but it's difficult to get involved with the Jets too. That was a very poor loss against Dallas. Dallas has been kind of just playing out the string, and Winnipeg just gets pretty much dominated by them in their last game. We'll see how this one plays out. One thing I want to note is I could see Columbus starting strong simply because Rick Bowness, after the second loss to Carolina, the one in Raleigh, which was just a horrible, pitiful performance and effort, 10 shots on goal. Absolutely pathetic from the Columbus Blue Jackets. And Rick Bowness agreed it was pathetic. He said, we got some guys that are showing the passion to win and get in the playoffs, and some guys that just gave us absolutely nothing. And what a quote this next one was. They can say all they want. We want to get in. We want to get in. I'd shut up and let my play do my talking for me. What a quote that was from Rick Bowness after that horrific performance down in Raleigh against Carolina. One thing we saw with Columbus, their last home game, not the Carolina game, but the one before that against Boston, which was the game that they had that 3-0 lead and ended up losing, but they were ready to go early. And if I'm going to even consider trusting the Blue Jackets in this game tonight, I could only consider looking at them early. We've seen some issues where they do start strong, and then I don't know whether it's the pressure, whether it's, they sit back too much, but they have had issues holding leads on a couple of occasions. Recently, the Columbus Blue Jackets as well. The Boston game comes to mind. So I am going to bet Columbus first goal, first period here in this one. I think that's a solid approach, because of what Rick Bowness said. Winnipeg on the road, I don't trust. I could see Columbus coming out strong, getting the lead, much like they did against Boston. But there's no chance I'm going to lay minus 140 with them, though, for a full game. I think if you're going to endorse Columbus at all, I think it's better to trust in the first 20 minutes with them. Because if it's going to happen, it's going to happen in the first 20. If they have a bad first 20, they're not probably winning this hockey game anyway. So if you like Columbus, and I do kind of think they start out strong after getting a rep. And look, Rick Bowness has not gone to the reprimand and crack the whip route with this team very often. He hasn't had to because they've been so good much of his run, but he finally did after the last game. I think you will see Columbus start strong because of that. So give me that Jackets first goal, first period. I'll look in that direction. Alex, what do you think here, Winnipeg, Columbus?
Yeah, I had that first goal, first period look, but what I liked here was draw and Columbus to win in overtime or shootouts. East versus West, both teams need points, not in each other's way by any means. And you got a little bit of an angle to it. Bonus going up against his old club in a sense. I wonder what that motivation. I don't think it's going to be. It's not necessarily.
That's right.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a cantankerous kind of event or anything. Like say, Columbus is worried more about what they're trying to do right now and getting into the playoffs. So I don't think there's going to be any kind of animosity or anything on that level. But I do think this could be a good back and forth game. But Columbus hasn't started off hot, so I will tell you on that first goal, first period. But I do like the draw here, and I like Columbus plus 500 at FanDuel to win in overtime or shootout.
All right, good stuff indeed. I forgot to reiterate, I don't know if I did, but it's Scott, the goalies for the last of the afternoon game. Scott Wedgwood, Jake Ottinger projected for Colorado, Dallas. Right now it's Tarasov and Shilovs projected for Florida, Pittsburgh, Swayman, Vasilevsky for Boston, Tampa Bay. For this game, it is confirmed Connor Hellebuck, Jet Greaves for their respective teams in the Jets and the Jackets, which is kind of what I expected. They're not giving Elvis Merzlikins the net after that. Although it's not on him. They were awful. Okay, that's definitely not a game you can pin on Elvis Merzlikins. That game is horrific for the Columbus Blue Jackets, top to bottom. Defense, forwards, everybody culpable in that. But yeah, I like them early. First period, probably first goal, first period. I'm going to dabble too because of the 5-game first period over streak, because I think it could slow down after that. That's been the trend with Columbus games at times. You get the goals early and then they slow down. But they have gone over in the first period in 5 straight games. 5 straight Jackets games have gone over in the first period. So I think I will sprinkle
grab that line
over. Yeah, a little bit here in this one. As far as props go, that's a great point by Nick. It's amazing how when, Werenski's got it, is feeling it and got it rolling offensively, it takes Columbus to a different level. And then when he's kind of been stunted, that's when things bogged down a little bit for them. There are some injuries for Columbus. Voronkov, Severson's out for the year, underwent surgery. Matthew Olivier's out indefinitely. Mason Marchment missed the second Carolina game, but he might be back. Game time decision is the official word on Mason Marchment for the Columbus Blue Jackets here in this game. And that's significant, obviously, because, he's been a big catalyst for them since they got him from the Seattle Kraken. So I know they'd really like to see him in the lineup. We'll see if he does end up playing here for the Blue Jackets in this one. Just quickly, my prop screen closed on me, but we'll see if we can get it open back up again, because there's definitely a couple of props that piqued my interest here in this game with the Jets and the Jackets. Just 1 second. All right, here we go. Jets and Jackets. Okay. Here's a couple here that stand out for me. Perfetti has scored in 3 of the last 5 games for the Winnipeg Jets. You're getting a pretty good price on him, plus 360 here in this one. Keep an eye on the Columbus forward situation, because, again, with some of these injuries, there's been no choice but for Rick Bowness to kind of tinker, move things around a bit. Fantilli, Marchenko, we'll see who's on that spot if Marchment isn't. Coyle and Garland, I have some interest in on the Columbus side of the equation. And like I said, for Winnipeg, I think 3 of the last 5 games, Cole Perfetti on that second line, I think, is the prop value that I like the most on the Jets here for this one. All right, we move along to the next game. New York Islanders, Carolina Hurricanes. Carolina minus 260 home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. Now, this is, you got to take your medicine to do what I'm about to do here. But, the New York Islanders, they're a weird bunch. They're a flighty team. They've got some weird, result. And obviously that was terrible last night. You can't come out in a game of that magnitude. You can't expect to win if you're going to get dummied in the first period like that on home ice by the Philadelphia Flyers. You absolutely had that coming. You deserve everything you fucking got last night, losing 4-1 to the Philadelphia Flyers, playing that way, starting a game of that importance that way. Deserve everything you got. But I know Chris has been tracking these, and I've even kept an eye on it, these back-to-back spots with teams off wins, teams off losses. Well, the New York Islanders, in situations where they've been off a loss on a back-to-back, so playing a back-to-back, off a loss the previous night, they're actually 6-3 this season in these spots. They have a winning record. They can't be happy with their performance last night. This could be one of those crazy, stupid results. The Islanders out of nowhere pop up and beat Carolina down in Carolina. And Carolina, again, what's on the line for them right now? Not a whole lot. They're rolling to the division title. Nobody's going to catch them from behind. I just think situationally, it's way more urgency on the Islanders side. My only hang-up here is probably David Riddick going to be in net here, you would think. I don't think they're going to put Sorokin in back-to-back, knowing that they lost with him last night. I would think Patrick was going to say, you know what, we got to give him a rest here, go to David Riddick. And I'm not a big fan of what we've seen from David Riddick. But again, we're talking, if the Islanders are any sort of small dog, I'm not interested. We're talking plus 220 here. It's just, it's the way the NHL works sometimes, especially late in the season. It can be silly season. It honestly can. It can be, you want silly season, proof that Vancouver scored 6 goals on and beat Colorado the other night, or 8 goals, 8-6, beating Colorado. You want more silly season? How about this MASH unit decimated, depleted, half their lineup out, Florida Panthers team being up 5-0 on desperate Ottawa earlier this week. Silly season, man. Throw shit out and just go with gut sometimes. And gut tells me Islanders could stun people here tonight after that just fucking egg they laid last night against the Philadelphia Flyers. So, yeah, and first goal, first period. Russell Deck is onto it. I think that might be worth a look here. First goal, first period. New York Islanders as well at that huge plus price you're going to get with that, because you're talking about a plus 220 dog. So I'm going to sprinkle in both. Again, this is just one of these, intuition type of deals. They're going to play better tonight. They're going to play hard tonight. They know they just absolutely shit the bed in a big spot last night. It's just way more urgency in my mind here with the Islanders. There should be coming into this game. Now, Carolina dummied Columbus, so but They just beat Columbus up twice. You look at head-to-head, too. The Islanders and Hurricanes do have some history, remember, a certain playoffs as well between these two teams. Let's not forget that. We've seen that in the past going back to 2024 playoff series between these two teams. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to do it. Small bets, but I'm going to do it with the Islanders first period, first goal, and a little sprinkle on the plus 220 here as well. Alex, what do you think? Islanders, Hurricanes?
It makes sense. I would take a more of a shot with the first period money line with the Islanders. You can get that plus 168 and first goal, first period plus 185. That's a fantastic price. But if they're going to show some fire, if they're going to show some gumption and show some heart, it's going to happen in the first 20 minutes of this game because this is your season on the line. And now, could Carolina come out and steamroll them 5-1 because of David Riddick in that? Absolutely, they could. So that's why 220. I'm a little kind of being cautious and not taking that full game price, but I will dabble with Isles first period and Isles first goal first period. Both teams to score might be a decent look too, but that's something I'd look for live.
Yeah. This is just this. This is definitely against the flow, against the grain thinking here with the New York Islanders, no question. But like I said, it's just when it's that bad. I certainly expect to see something out of this team, especially early, which, as you hinted, maybe even the first goal, first period, or even stronger stances to take here with the New York Islanders in this game as opposed to the full game. There are some decent props here. Svechnikov, 3 straight games with a goal. Jordan Martinook and Logan Stankoven. I like the value with both of them for Carolina. Even though I'm leaning Islanders in this game, doesn't mean we can't bet Carolina player props. And Martinook and Stankoven have scored in back-to-back games for the Carolina Hurricanes, so I like the value with both of them going into this matchup. We've also talked about how Ehlers has stepped up for them. For the Islanders, obviously, look, last night was an offensive struggle, but prior to last night, Braden Shen had been scoring, and I would maybe look to the captain, Anders Lee, possibly here as well for the New York Islanders, especially Lee. This feels like a spot where the captain's got to lead by example after a game like that last night, so it kind of makes him a potential candidate to find the back of the net tonight for the New York Islanders. Let's go to Toronto, Los Angeles. Next up, we've got now this is a 7 Eastern, 4 p.m. local start time. They adjust the West Coast start times for Toronto because they don't want the Leaf fans to watch Toronto at 10 p.m. local time, 10 p.m. Eastern. And we bow down to the almighty Toronto Maple Leafs, even when they're a bag of ass. Isn't it great how this league works? LA minus 190.
Ain't that a bitch? As bad as they are, and all the other teams out east have to deal with 10 o'clock, 10:30 starts. But it's the Leafs, so now we got to move up everything early for them. Screw them. That's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous, but it's like that every year. Like, when's the last time on a hockey night in Canada where Toronto has played in Vancouver, LA, Anaheim, you name it, and the game has been 10 p.m. Eastern on us? It hasn't been. It's always been 7 p.m. Eastern.
Wow.
Yeah, they've always moved it, to 7 p.m. Eastern. They've made the home team, the West Coast team, adjust to the Leafs and to hockey night in Canada. So it's just
crazy.
It's always the way it's been. So it's a 4 p.m. local game here in LA because of that. So LA minus 190, home favorites, 6 the total. Yeah, I definitely don't want the money line either side here. I don't want Toronto. And I don't have no chance I'm laying minus 190 with LA, even with all the urgency that they're facing, tied for that final wild card spot. And what a slog it is right now for that final wild card spot in the Eastern Conference, Western Conference right now with all these teams. I mean, you've got a log jam of San Jose, Nashville, LA, all at 79 points, tied for that second wild card spot. Is this a Toronto up or Toronto down game? It really is. I look at this as a situation where that's what you got to know. Is Toronto inside that dressing room? Are they dialed in for this hockey game or are they not? Because we saw at St. Louis, they weren't. At Anaheim, they were because of the Matthews stuff with Radko Gudas. And then the last game, they weren't, down 4-1. And you could tell right away in that game. The Leafs don't give two shits here anymore in this game. And that's what you got to figure out. Do they want to play spoiler? Do they care about playing spoiler? Are they going to bring focus? And are they going to bring that compete level? Are they going to compete defensively? That's where we've seen it. They haven't competed defensively in the games they haven't shown up for. That's where it's noticeable with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So it's definitely a live game. Let's see what Toronto looks like. Could you bet the draw here? Yeah, but there's other draws I probably like more. I will say this, though. They did go to overtime in Toronto back in November. It was a 4-3 LA Kings victory. That's the only thing I would sign off on here in this game is the draw. I probably would bet a live over 5.5, actually. If this thing falls to 5.5, I might, because we have been talking about these Kings games over the total since DJ Smith's been there. And it's not like Toronto's a team we trust defensively right now. So if I see a 5.5, might bet a live over. But nothing really all that big on this game for me. Alex, what do you think here? Leafs Kings.
It's a 15-game slate. Don't have to bet everything. This is a complete pass for me.
Yeah, there you go. 30 LA games have gone to overtime, says Jonathan. So yeah, I don't hate a draw shot. I don't hate a draw shot. There's other draws I like more than this one. Like I like Colorado Dallas more than this one. I like Boston Tampa probably a little bit more than this one. But like I said, you could do worse than taking a shot with the draw here. John Tavares has actually scored in back-to-back games for Toronto of late. So if you're going to look at anyone that's got it going a little bit for the Leafs right now, it'd be him. Adrian Kempe, goals in 3 straight games for the LA Kings entering tonight. I got to look at Scott Laughton, too, tonight for the LA Kings. He gets to play his old team, the Toronto Maple Leafs. He scored last game for the LA Kings against Nashville on Thursday. So why not a little Scott Laughton here for the LA Kings as he plays his old mates here tonight in this one. And by the way, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, this is going to be the first time he plays them too, because that first meeting was in Toronto was back in November between these two teams. So this will definitely be Scott Laughton's first chance to take on his old team. So, and you can get plus 468 at Novig, plus 450 at DraftKings. So there's some good prices out there for Scott Laughton here for the LA Kings to find the back of the net. All right, next up, we've got Utah, Vancouver. Utah minus 220 road favorites, 6.5 the total in this one. Utah obviously coming off a nice 6-2 win against Seattle in their last game. They kind of feasted on a Seattle team that, as you could see as that game went on, they hit a wall as far as physically. All that travel, coming back from the long road trip, could definitely see it got to them as that game went on, and they were able to really wear down the Seattle Kraken as that game progressed. Now they're taking on this bottom-tier Vancouver team. Vancouver, the big upset win against Colorado, but obviously fell short the very next night in the back-to-back spot against Minnesota. We kind of saw that coming. One thing I will point out is Vancouver's been good in these first-period goals lately, scoring in the first period. Will that happen again here tonight? That remains to be seen, but I do want to mention it. They've been good at scoring early. So what I do like most of all in this game, I do like the first period over, 100%. I mean, you got to take it. It's 9-0 to the over in the first period for Utah entering this game. 9 consecutive game over first period streak here for the Utah Mammoth. So that I like most here in this game. 6.5, probably will sprinkle on that with the hopes that maybe we could get something better in game. I think I got to bet Utah team total over because I think they could get 4 against this Vancouver defense. Most teams are able to get to 4 against this Vancouver defense. Let's not forget, even when Vancouver upset Colorado still put a 6 spot on the board against the Canucks. So Utah team total over 3.5, around minus 135, minus 140, the price on that. Give me that first period over, little full game over sprinkle. We'll add more in game. And I might even get involved with, instead of betting Vancouver to score in the first period, Vancouver both and Utah, both teams to score first period. Because look, Vancouver has been good scoring early in games here these last few. The Minnesota game, the Colorado game, you go back further, they've had some games where they've scored in the opening 20 minutes. So I think that both teams to score first period is live here in this Utah-Vancouver game as well. Alex, what do you think here, Utah-Vancouver?
Yeah, bet both teams to score in the first period pregame, and then wait for that first period over to kind of drop down. Because minus 140 is fine, but I think you can get closer to minus 120, 110 if you wait a few minutes into the contest. So that's the way I'm playing this, just strictly first period totals. First period over, and both teams score in the first.
Logan Cooley heating up. Yeah, it's amazing. This when Logan Cooley's got it, is feeling it. Man, does this team go to a different level. And he scored in 3 straight games now for the Mammoth. Nick Schmaltz has goals in back-to-back games. Those are definitely near the top of the list for me as far as goal props for the Utah Mammoth. I still say Krause with Schmaltz and Keller there's still some pretty good value as far as that's concerned. Paterka. There's a couple games now. He's found the back of the net. 3 goals in the last 4 games, even on the fourth line for Alexander Kerfoot, the veteran for Utah. I don't even hate maybe going down the board that far and looking towards Kerfoot here in this game for the Utah Mammoth. Jake DeBrusk for Vancouver has goals in back-to-back games. I think Rossi, O'Connor, Ogren, that trio, a little bit of value as well. So those are some of the props there of interest for me as far as that one between the Mammoth and the Canucks there in Vancouver. All right, on we go. Buffalo, Washington. Buffalo, -115 road favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. Buffalo missing out on their first chance to clinch a playoff spot and end their 14-season playoff drought the other night with the loss to Ottawa. They'll be looking to do again. It's right there for them once again here tonight. They're looking to officially book their ticket to the Stanley Cup playoffs for the first time in 15 years. They might do it too. I mean, Washington, that was I don't know what happened to them. That's terrible. You just did so much to get yourself back into the mix here with wins against Utah, Vegas, and then you came back home and you beat Philly early in the week. And then you go to New Jersey. You'd like to think you get the 2 points, and all of a sudden you get drilled and you get dummied by a score of 7-3. And it was a rough night all around. It wasn't Logan Thompson's best game, but boy, they were breaking down left and right in front of him. Can't put it all on him. And it was an ugly game. Carberry, Tom Wilson, they talked about it after the game. We've done so much good lately, and then to have a game like that, it's very disappointing. We just got to flush it and move on. So we'll see if they are able to do that going into this game here against the Buffalo Sabres. But one thing I know about Buffalo, reason they've been just one of the best teams in the NHL since December, January, when this epic run started for them. It was in December 9th. That's when Buffalo's season turned, and they went on that epic run to finish the year, that win streak, double-digit win streak going into the January. They have done an excellent job not losing 2 in a row. I think it's happened 3 times for them since late December where they've lost 2 in a row. Most games they've been able to bounce back and respond after a bad game. And I think, too, the Sabres are still a better hockey team right now because when you look at Washington, they've got what do they have going for them? Thompson. They've got the Capitals, rather. They got Thompson. Once in a while you get Ovechkin perking up, but you don't get that every game from them, not certainly this season. You don't get much depth scoring from them consistently. I don't think their blue line's as strong, and certainly they traded John Carlson, too, at the deadline to Anaheim. Let's not forget that. I think Buffalo's still the better squad. You got them off a loss. I think they want to put this to bed. Yeah, they're going to make the playoffs. It's just you want to make it official sooner rather than later. Just get it done. And I think they could here tonight. So I'm going to take the Sabres here, -115. As far as the total, for a long time I've said Washington's a dead nuts under team, but that's kind of changed. It's kind of changed. We've seen them struggle a bit defensively. They've also scored a little bit more at the offensive end, and that's a reason they've gone 4-0 to the over in their last 4 games, 11, 9, 10, 10. I mean, these are going way over the total suddenly for Washington. Buffalo on the road, they try to play kind of a tight, stingy game. So series history is huge to the over, massive. 7-2-1 to the over in the last 10 meetings alone, and it's really strong going back even further. So I think I would lean over, and Washington suddenly scoring and giving up goals. But Buffalo, I'm telling you, I lost with an over with Buffalo, Ottawa. Why is that? Buffalo's trying to play tight, lower event hockey on the road. So while the series history screams over, Washington 4 straight overs, I lean that way. I'm having a hard time actually taking it. Alex, what do you think here? Buffalo, Washington.
Yeah, I grabbed Buffalo minus $1.10 last night. Like I said, this is a spot where they need to take care of business, get officially in the playoffs. You got Tampa Bay on deck, which that's still a battle for, whether you can get the division or not. But like I say, just take care of your own business. And this is, somebody's got to fall. There's got to be somebody in the wreckage, and that's going to be the Washington Capitals most likely. They're going to be one of those teams on the outside looking in. It's been a nice run, but I just, like I said, the better team at a cheap price. I'm going with Buffalo minus $1.10.
All right, and it looks like, by the way, we should see in this game as far as let me just see the goaltending. I believe it's going to be UPL again for because look, I think we're starting to see signs that UPL is going to be game one goaltender here for the Buffalo Sabres in the Stanley Cup playoffs. It is Thompson, obviously already confirmed for the Capitals. I'm actually seeing it could be Lyon tonight because I'm seeing some sites that have him projected possibly to be in goal here tonight for the Buffalo Sabres. So we'll see on that. It is Lyon today, so there we go. After UPL got a couple of starts in a row, he needs to get in the net. That actually probably helps the over, Lyon, because the reason why UPL has started recent games is because Lyon showed some cracks in the armor there for a few starts. Didn't play great. Not saying he can't play great because, look, early in the year he was excellent, but he hasn't been in recent form the better goalie, Lyon. UPL has been the better goalie in current form. So we'll see how that affects that game if Lyon gets the start. As far as goal props, one thing I want to note, Tom Wilson, goals in back-to-back. I'm going to sprinkle on Cole Hudson, man. This guy is no fear. He has been a breath of fresh air for the Capitals on the blue line. He scored in their last game. So keep that in mind. He's certainly made an impact for this Capitals team here of late, getting these opportunities. One thing, too, is I believe Lindy Ruff is shaking up the line combinations here just to try to generate a little more offense. They only scored one goal against Ottawa, and I believe it's Josh Doan who's going to get elevated to the line with Thompson and Tuck. I think Krebs is going to get shuttled down. Or no, sorry, Krebs is staying on the top line with Thompson. It's going to be Krebs, Thompson, Doan. That's what I read. It's going to be Krebs, Thompson, and Doan, quite possibly on the top line here for Buffalo tonight. And you know what that means. Josh Doan, value for sure if he's going to play on the top line tonight. This is the night to get back to the go back to the well with Josh Doan if he's going to suit up on that top line for Buffalo with Thompson and Krebs, and it's looking that way. And plus 320 at FanDuel for Josh Doan for the Buffalo Sabres. Krebs we've talked about on the top line. There's still value. I would say maybe Zucker and Benson too. They've been noticeable lately for Buffalo, so those are some of the props there that I'll be circling for Sabres and Caps. All right, on we go to Montreal, New Jersey. Montreal minus 130. Road favorites. Total here sitting at 6.5. Bleu, blanc, rouge, le Canadien, le Canadien. We're going to keep riding these guys, man. They're playing too good. They keep winning. Goaltending's great. Doesn't matter Fowler, Dobish. Doesn't matter the goalie anymore. The goalies are playing great, both of them. Defense has played better. The red-hot power play, the red-hot offense of this Montreal Canadiens team. They are a team worth riding right now, and they want to win the division. It was Alex. I keep thinking someone was talking about betting Montreal to win the Atlantic Division a week or two ago. It was this guy, Alex, and they are a lot. They can do it. There's still a pathway for this Montreal Canadiens team to win the Atlantic Division and just skirt past both Buffalo and Tampa Bay and take the division. And they know it. They know that they're right there now for the Atlantic Division. So I don't expect them to slow down. Okay, New Jersey beat Washington. That was a pretty good win. It was impressive. Jack Hughes been great. We can't, he's been red hot. His offensive play lately gives New Jersey a chance to win any given night. But Montreal is still the much better of the two teams, especially defensively, especially in goal right now. They're on a heater. They're 2 points back of both Tampa and Buffalo for first in the division. So give me Montreal here, minus 130. I'll probably split it with team total over 3.5. Actually, there's flat threes, I believe, for Montreal's team total here in this game, which I might go with as well, just to be a little bit safe. Yeah, over 3, minus 140. I'll go with that, along with Montreal money line here. Alex, what do you think? Montreal, New Jersey.
Well, like I said, I already have the division ticket, that plus 1,300 in pocket. So I'm just kind of rooting for Montreal. No reason for me to lay 130 in this particular individual game. But of course, it is Saturday night. So this is Saturday night. Go Caulfield. We're running it right back with him. Anytime goal, even money plus 100. 2 goals plus 600. He's looking to try and get to 50. I think he gets past that. So those are my 2 plays for this game.
Not only that, he scored in 4 straight games as well, and 8 of the last 10 games. So, like I said, this is now not just Mr. Saturday night, although it is still his best night of the week. It's every night of the week that ends in Y, as we like to say, for Cole Caulfield. But, Saturdays in particular, he has been phenomenal. I would say as far as other props of interest, Slavkovsky for Montreal, maybe Demidov for Montreal. For New Jersey, obviously we've talked about Hughes, Bratt. They've been good. But Mercer, who is still up the lineup for New Jersey, finally scored last game, playing with Heishier and Meyer. So Mercer could have some value. I'd look into his and Brown too. Connor Brown has been someone for New Jersey that's been popping in the goals a little bit of late as well. All right, this is another playoff game before the playoffs begin. Next up here, Nashville, San Jose. Two of the teams tied for that final wild card spot in the Western Conference. San Jose minus 115, home favorites. Total here, 6.5. Give me San Jose, man. They're playing like a team that means business. I don't know about Nashville. Nashville was lucky as shit to survive against LA. They almost choked that one away. Terrible that loss would have been. That didn't impress me all that much, that you're up 3-0 on LA and you almost blow the damn thing up 4-1 at one point. They come back, tie it at 4, and you need overtime or shootout rather to win that game against the Kings. So I like San Jose here. I am aware of the ownage that Robert's speaking of in the chat, that Nashville has dominated this series. That's going to change tonight. I like San Jose's got that. They got their head down. They're playing like they mean business right now, and 4 straight wins. And they've beaten some good teams too. Columbus has been battling for their lives. St. Louis has had a lot to play for. Anaheim, Toronto not so much, but the other wins were impressive. Meanwhile, you got Nashville just 1-3, and the only win was a squeaker against a mediocre LA team. So yes, it's a bad losing streak to the Nashville Predators right now. It's 14 straight. I know it was 10 straight. But my gosh, 14 straight Nashville has beaten San Jose. It ends tonight, God damn it. Give me San Jose minus 115. I don't usually like going against those kind of streaks, but my eyes tell me San Jose is the better form right now at this point in time. So, I'm going to go. I'm going San Jose here. We'll go San Jose and a little smaller piece on the team total over for San Jose as well. Because I still think Saros was terrible the other night. That goal that tied the game for LA, he's got to corral that puck. He didn't. So it's going to be probably, I would think, Saros and Askarov, not confirmed, but those are the projected goalies. Alex, Nashville, San Jose.
If it is Askarov, he's going up against his old franchise, I guess you could say. But this is the spot where I'm going to do what I did, and I got lucky, like I said, cashing it with Nashville with that draw. I had Nashville to win past regulation plus 500. So now I'm going to bite the hand that feeds me a little bit here with the Sharks. I'm going to take Sharks to win in overtime or shootout along with the draw. You get plus 550 with that at FanDuel. I will lay a little piece of minus 115 as well, just straight money line. But I trust in San Jose's form a little bit more here than Nashville. Like I said, we're bucking that historical trend because you got to realize how bad San Jose had been for the last 3-4 years. This is a whole different vibe. You got the Shark Tank actually buzzing again. So this is a game where I like San Jose here. So I will have a piece of full money line, but I like the draw here, and I do like Sharks to win in overtime or shootout, plus 550 at FanDuel.
All right, good stuff. As far as goal props here, this is actually a good goal prop game. I don't know if we're going to get like a 6-5 game, although we have seen more often than not higher scoring with Predators and Sharks in recent meetings. But I do like the value with a lot of the goal props here. Jonathan's alluding to it. He's scored a lot against San Jose. He scored in back-to-back games. Philip Forsberg. William Eklund scored last game. Graf, hockey god, Adam Gaudette for San Jose. So Graf and Gaudette I like. Maybe even Zach Ostapchuk. He scored last game. He's actually scored 2 of the last 5 games for San Jose as far as goal props going into this. Kiefer Sherwood, who's on the second line and is a former Predator. So you got the former player angle as well with Kiefer Sherwood. Wenberg, he continues to be, great lately offensively for the Sharks. 4 goals in the last 4 games. 4 goals in the last 5 games for Alex Wenberg for the San Jose Sharks. I'm seeing Chernyshov might be back tonight. Or he actually returned against Toronto. Yeah, he played against Toronto. But, yeah, he's expected to be with Celebrini and with Smith on that top line. For Nashville, I cashed a big plus 600 it was with him last game against LA. Still on the top line, Zachary Leroux. I'm telling you, Zachary Leroux is great goal prop value for Nashville right now. Playing with O'Reilly Auto Parts, playing with him and with Stamkos. And Zachary Leroux scored last game, goals in 2 of the last 5 for the Nashville Predators as well. So definitely like that value once again to go with Zach Leroux on that top line for the Predators here tonight. All right, we got 3 games left. Vegas, Edmonton. This is a dandy of a game for the Hockey Night in Canada late portion of the doubleheader. We've got Edmonton, slight home favorites here, about -115. The total in this one at 6.5 across the board. Edmonton, first of all, Edmonton, we do have to acknowledge their team defense has been very good lately. Whether it's Paul Coffey effect, whether it's just, hey, we're sick of our goalies being so mediocre. We were trying to protect them and insulate them more. And how do we do that? We keep the shots to a minimum. We try to negate how much high danger we expose the goaltenders to. And they did that perfectly against Chicago the other night with Tristan Jarry. Like, they did not give Chicago a whole lot in that game offense. And I think they did it because they knew Jarry was in net, and Jarry's been terrible for this team. So we've got to limit the shots. We've got to limit the chances. We've got to play more of a, let's be honest, I don't want to say trap hockey, but they weren't going up and down the ice, Edmonton, like they're accustomed to against the Chicago Blackhawks the other night. So like I said, it's noticeable that they are trying to protect their goalies, especially Jarry. Now, it's probably going to be Ingram tonight, I would think, in net for the Oilers. Who knows who the goalie is going to be for Vegas? It could be Aiden Hill. It could be Carter Hart. And Carter Hart's got history with John Tortorella. You know, they were together in Philly, and he was in net for the win against Calgary. Now, it is Calgary. You don't want to go crazy with how great it was. I have a feeling Carter Hart's going to eventually be the goalie for Vegas just because of the history, how much experience Tortorella's had with him going back to the Flyers days. For now, I'm seeing Aiden Hill projected for the Golden Knights tonight. I don't think it's confirmed yet. I'm leaning hard on Vegas, though. They're 2-0 since the coaching change. It is still the new coach angle, the coach bump, whatever you want to say. They lost to Edmonton in Vegas just recently, so you got a little revenge spot as well for the Golden Knights here. I kind of want to ride Vegas now with the, but again, you could also make the argument you're 2-0 since the coaching change. You've beaten a bunch of nobodies. You've beaten Vancouver. You've beaten Calgary. Big freaking deal. I get that argument too, that we haven't seen Vegas step up against any heavyweight, any behemoth, any better upper echelon team in the NHL since the firing of Bruce Cassidy. Their only two wins were Vancouver and Calgary. So this is a very tough game, but I don't want to step in front of the coach bump and torts right now. So if I bet it, it's Vegas. I'm still mulling it over, though. What do you think here, Alex? Vegas, Edmonton.
This is what I'll watch and wait for live, but I do lean with Vegas, like you said, with the coaching bump. And, Edmonton, I don't think that, the defense is now just completely fixed after what happened with that game against Chicago. The Hawks were a bit sloppy, and keep in mind, even those up tempos they like to play, those are a bunch of young kids that are on that forward group there. So they didn't have the kind of best strategy. They weren't really looking to pepper Jarry the way that I thought that they were in that contest. So I think that kind of gave Jarry some, and it's good for him. You give him some confidence. The less shots he sees, the better. Right, whether it's defensemen playing their ass off in front of him, or whether it's just a team that just doesn't have the offensive horses, the longer he can go where he's not facing barrage of shots, the more confidence he can build up. But with that being said, this is one I'll wait for live, but I lean with Vegas.
Yeah, I do too. It is concerning that Edmonton's had their number. Playoffs, regular season, doesn't matter. Edmonton has really, really controlled Vegas. Just 5 straight. Actually, all 3 regular season meetings this year. Edmonton's won all 3. Obviously, they had the playoff series win last year against the Vegas Golden Knights. But again, the coach bump angle, especially until they've lost that first game with the new coach, I do not bet against teams in that spot. Never, 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 never do I do that. So with Vegas 2-0 since Tortorella took over, Vegas are pass for me. Plain and simple. Cut and dried. As far as goal props are concerned here, obviously, Marner had the hat trick against Calgary. I don't think that's going to happen again necessarily. But Brett Howden, he's playing with Eichel and Dorofeyev right now on the top line. I could see him having some value. He scored against Calgary last game. Brett Howden, to me, makes some sense. We've got close shave Barbashev still with Marner and Stone. Could be something to look at as well. Colton Sissons is for the Vegas Golden Knights as well. Might be worth a shot. Edmonton, I repeat the same players all the time lately with their goal props. But for me, it's Matt Savoy, number 1. Matt Savoy's been excellent. Not good. great lately for the Edmonton Oilers. He's really started to fit in nicely. He's got a goal in 4 of the last 5 games for the Edmonton Oilers. So he's always who I pivot to number 1 right now as far as value for the Edmonton Oilers with goal props. That is Matt Savoy. You're still getting up to plus 275. It's not bargain bin price, but that's still pretty good for someone that's on the top line right now with Connor McDavid and someone that scored in 4 of the last 5 games. So the value is still very good in my mind with Matt Savoy. All right, 2 games left. Chicago, Seattle next up. This is the Edzo Bowl, Eddie Olczyk, because this is the team he broadcasts for now against the team he used to. Chicago and Seattle head-to-head here. We've got Seattle minus 170, home favorites. The total here sitting at 6 across the board. You would think at some point, even for the insane high-volume bettor I am in NHL and all sports, you would think eventually I would come to a game where I didn't have much on it. This is that game for me, Chicago and Seattle. I mean, it's hard to back Chicago right now. I mean, there's, I think there's still, there's times that you could see the effort's good, but they're just not getting results. They aren't. I mean, they've lost 5 in a row. Chicago 1-7 in their last 8 games. But Seattle's cratering, man. I mean, as the playoff pressure has hit them, they're not responding to it well. They just came off that crazy, grueling road trip out east. Many of those games, Florida, up to Buffalo, over to Edmonton, then finally back home, and they fucking completely ran out of gas, hit the wall against Utah the other night, 6-2, losing to the Mammoth, and they just fell apart in the third. I think they just gassed. They were tired. They had nothing. They had no legs at the end of that game against Utah. There's no chance I can lay minus 170 here with Seattle right now, even if they need the points desperately and they play with urgency, and they should, because, they have to have this game. I don't think they're getting in anyway with where they're at. There's 4 points back of the 3 teams tied for the second wild card, and the games remaining are dwindling. But if they lose this game, you can pretty much seal that they're out, they're done. So they've got to have it, but doesn't mean I have to bet them. So I don't want Seattle at this price. And I don't think I trust Chicago enough. So pass for me on the side. Alex, Chicago, Seattle.
This is over by factor for me. Heavier on that first period over because we've seen Seattle on a nice run, but I think we see goals here. Like I said, because of the fact that the Kraken are, kind of slip sliding away, it's not just going to be just where they can put the screws to Chicago. I think the Hawks will have some offense going. I have a bargain bin in this game, but yeah, definitely liking goals here in this one.
All right, good stuff there. Liking the over by factor when it comes to the Kraken and the Blackhawks. I'm just trying to see at the moment here. Let me just take a look here. Yeah, the first period over, I might bet that because I'm seeing it's 12-2 right now for Seattle in their last 14 games, and then wait for a 5.5 for the full game. I might get in on that, but first period over for sure. 12-2. I'll take that. So I will have a bet on this game upon further review. 12-2 run for Seattle to the first period over. That's definitely. And don't you think they got to come out of the gate storming here? You would think. They got to press. They can't sit back. I know that's Lane Lambert's way much of the time, but you got to get on the board. You got to get feeling good early in this game against Chicago. So that first period over, I do have interest in that. As far as props for this game, am I seeing that right? My guy here, Nick Lardis, questionable. I don't like seeing that. But it is day-to-day right now for the Chicago Blackhawks. Blocked a shot against Edmonton, so there you go. We'll see if he's in the lineup, so keep an eye on that. But as far as Bobby McMahon, of course, that's the one thing we got to bet. Bobby McMahon, if you're going to bet a goal prop right now, 4 of the last 5, 7 of the last 10. You're not getting the great prices anymore, but still plus 220 for him to find the back of the net right now for the Kraken. So that definitely stands out as far as goal prop. That's about it. They always say Frondell, but like I said, I might leave Frondell alone tonight, but I wouldn't say no to anybody that wants to bet Anton Frondell to score, but might leave it alone tonight. All right, last game for this massive slate on this Saturday. It's Calgary-Anaheim. Anaheim minus 130 home favorites. Total here sitting at 6.5 across the board. I'm telling you what, back-to-back, but no travel for this game for the Anaheim Ducks off that 6-2 loss to the St. Louis Blues last night. Pretty dicey right now to lay minus 150 with Anaheim based on what I'm seeing at this moment. But they are playing Calgary, a Calgary team that on the road has been nothing short of an abject disaster for quite some time now. All of Calgary's good vibes and wins were at home at the Saddle Dome. You know, St. Louis, Florida, Tampa, LA, Vancouver. They had a 5-1 homestand. And now on the road, look at their last 4 road games. Islanders, Detroit losses earlier in March or last month. Then they go on the road, start this trip, and they've been outscored 15-5 by the combination of Colorado and Vegas in the last 2 games. Yeah, I'm going to take a shot here with this team total on Anaheim. I don't want to lay minus 150 on them, but if they're going to win, you can't trust them defensively. So if you're going to bet on Anaheim, you got to bet on their offense. Bet on them to score right now. And even though it's back-to-back, it is a rest advantage because Calgary played Thursday in Vegas. They still have to travel, and it is coming off Vegas, so you never know what fun the team might have had there. But nevertheless, I will take a shot with the Duck team total here over 3. And I think it's going to be Devin Cooley tonight in net for the Flames. And we know he stepped up and had a solid year, and he's one of the great post-game interviews you'll ever see. But I think that Anaheim team total, we have seen Calgary basically Calgary's given up 5 or more in 3 straight road games. So we know defensively they've had issues away from home. So that team totals, I think, for Anaheim is calling my name. Anaheim team total over 3.5, minus 102 at Pinnacle. Really good price on that. Let me just see here. Yeah, the draw too. Give me the draw. 4 straight meetings have gone past regular. I mean, I actually think this could turn into an Anaheim by margin spot. But if I see a situation like this where the head-to-head series has gone to overtime or a shootout in 4 straight games, I have to bet the draw. It's really that simple. Even if I'm not totally convinced this game is going to be tight in the 3rd period. But when you see 4 straight meetings, overtime or a shootout, I'll bet the draw in that circumstance. Alex, what do you think here? Final game, Calgary, Anaheim.
Yeah, a small dabble in the draw, but certainly not one of the better ones of the night. I like Anaheim team total as well. I didn't get that minus 102. It's at Pinnacle. I don't have that. Minus 110, 112, still reasonable price here. I think where, like I said, Anaheim more than likely can, maybe name their pricing against Calgary. But like I said, with that history, if Anaheim still is floundering early and Calgary can press, get a goal, Cooley, we've seen him step up at times, then yeah, it's not the worst play in the world to have at least a little bit of that plus 320 with the draw in pocket.
One thing to note, Ville Husso is probably starting here for Anaheim tonight. It's back-to-back. I'd be shocked if they give Dostal the start. I think it'll be Ville Husso. Ville Husso has struggled in 2 of his last 3 starts. He did give up 5 in the loss to Toronto the last time we saw him, but his one win was against Calgary, in Calgary, and he played pretty well. He only gave up 2 goals. They won 3-2 in that one. So maybe that's the reason Husso was saved for this game by Joel Quenneville because he beat Calgary just recently, had success. But yeah, I would expect Ville Husso here tonight for the Anaheim Ducks on the back-to-back. And just quickly on the prop front here for this Calgary-Anaheim game, Ryan Poehling, man, I'm going to ride the wave, plus 550. This guy scored in back-to-back games for the Ducks. Give me Ryan Poehling. Give me, for Calgary, the former Duck, Ryan Strome. Former player angle in play here. So Ryan Strome for the Calgary Flames to find the back of the net here tonight in this one. He's playing on the 3rd line right now with Sharon Govich and Olofsson. So there we go, liking Ryan Strome here. Nice former player angle. And for Anaheim, I like the value I like the most, like I said, is Poehling. But you could also maybe consider, Granlund's been good. I think he scored against Calgary before too. Troy Terry's heated up a little bit lately. So those are a couple other considerations as well. Ingram and net, Hyman out, says Addison. So no Zach Hyman here tonight for Edmonton against Vegas. And Philip Grubauer, just confirmed in net for Seattle tonight against Chicago. Great stuff, great show, awesome stuff, huge card, pretty good. 15 games, an hour and 20 minutes. It's pretty damn good.
Man.
Wow, that's pace. That's pace right there. And we're trying to do Alex a solid. He's playing through some pain here today. So, like I said, we're trying to speed it up a little bit. All right, wizardsportspicks.com. Check it out. Daily premium picks. Get on board with a long-term subscription. #1 in the NHL and college basketball. Profitable in the NBA as well. So check it out. wizardsportspicks.com. And, of course, patreon.com/iceguys, $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, daily betting card, sides, totals, player props. We got the early card posted already. We'll be adding the night card later on in the afternoon on the Patreon page, sides, totals, player props. So make sure you check it all out. We've got 3 more Patreon exclusive live betcasts coming up in April. You're going to want to get on board before the next one, which will be the final week of the regular season. We're going to have our next Patreon exclusive live betcast. So get on board before that. We're going to have at least 2 betcasts late April in the playoffs, the first round. So make sure you get on board. Again, just $10 per month. Your membership goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it going long term. The all sports discount for me with Dub Club is still there for Patreon members only as well. So $10 per month, patreon.com/iceguys.
And also check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. It's a great time to get yourself a t-shirt, a cap, a hoodie. Maybe, like I said, we got polo shirts. We've got cutoff shirts because summertime's right around the corner and start getting nice and warm. You can check all that out right now at the Ice Guys store. That's over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, good. Yeah, Savoy on the top line, says Jonathan Davis now with Hyman out. So RNH, McDavid, and Savoy. That's good because I like Savoy goal prop. Geez. It's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. I know it. We've talked about this. We don't cash a bargain bin with a certain player one game. They're guaranteed to score the next game. And maybe that's the trooper tonight, Jason Dickinson for Edmonton. I know Alex used him against Chicago.
And he passed on a fucking empty net. Yes. He had an empty net, and he passed the puck. So, yeah, I probably will end up grabbing a piece of him. Yeah,
and now he's up on the second line center spot tonight.
Yeah,
because of the changes in the lineups for Edmonton.
That will be added to my card.
He's score tonight. You got to bet him.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
that's the way it works. Too often it works that way. Crazy. All right, good stuff. Bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guy sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
All right, bargain bin special of the night. I'm telling you, my goal prop card, it's like a fucking menu, Chinese food menu here tonight with the freaking goal prop card. So you're going to want to be, I'm going to flash it up one more time, patreon.com. I'm telling you, it's going to be a big goal prop card that I'm going to be posting on the Patreon page today. There's so much value today with this 15-game side. There's just guys that are scoring 2 straight games, 3 straight games. You can get 700, 800 on some of them to score. So great value on the goal prop card. I'll have all my goal props, part of the card on the Patreon page. So patreon.com/iceguys for that. It was very, obviously after saying that, Alex, you could imagine how difficult it was to narrow it down to 2 bargain bin special selections. But we did. We'll start with you though, Alex. What do you think? Bargain bin special of the night.
Let's just go with the one we just talked about, that Edmonton-Vegas game at plus 460. Jason Dickinson moving up to the second line center, and like I said, got snake bit with that empty net goal the other night. So that will be on my card, and that will also be my first bargain bin special tonight. The second one, we go to that Chicago-Seattle game, and angle with a player who just hasn't had that good of a year, but he is going up against his old team. Game that's kind of a throwaway. Andre Burakovsky plus 550 for the Blackhawks. Score against his old mate to the Seattle Kraken tonight. That'll be my second bargain bin special tonight.
All right, there you go. Good stuff. Yeah, I don't blame you for going to the trooper. I mean, it's how many times have we seen this? We use the bargain bin on them one night, they don't score, and the next night we maybe don't sometimes, and they do. So there you go. Jason Dickinson is one of Alex's. All right, 2 for me. I already mentioned the daytime bargain bin special. Parker Kelly, Colorado Avalanche, plus 800 against the Dallas Stars. 3 straight games with a goal, looking to make it 4 in a row. That's a game alone, alone where I've got tons of goal props, but we'll go with Parker Kelly once again, plus 800 for Colorado for my first bargain bin special. And my second bargain bin special of the night from the night slate, and it's going to be from the late night slate. The last game we talked about, Calgary and Anaheim. Give me Ryan Poehling. Back-to-back games with a goal. It's been noticeable. He's plus 550. I expect the Ducks to score here in this game tonight. I expect the Ducks to score against this Calgary D that's given up 5 goals or more in 3 straight road games. So I like the chances that Ryan Poehling is going to get some opportunities. Plus 550 at BetMGM. So Parker Kelly, Colorado, plus 800. Ryan Poehling, Anaheim, plus 550 for my 2 bargain bin specials here for this Saturday slate. All right, and 2-0 Minnesota, and Ryan Hartman got the goal. So there you go. Ryan Hartman, man. Great stuff. I told you, red hot. So there's a goal prop winner at what, plus 370? I think I got on that. Let me see. Yeah, plus 370. So great stuff. All right, best bets for this Saturday. Alex, what do you got for best bet?
We're going to go a little different route for best bet today. We're going to go with Cole Caulfield. Cole Caulfield, Mr. Saturday Night, just to give us one at even money, plus 100. I saw somebody else said plus 110. That'll give him 50 on the season. Like I said, he's been cashing in, like I said, any day that ends in a Y, but certainly on Saturday. So Cole Caulfield, anytime goal, plus 100 is my Saturday best bet.
All right, there you go. Cole Caulfield, why not? Mr. Saturday Night with how good he's been on this particular day of the week. Best bet for me for this Saturday slate. I'm going to rock with the. Oh boy, this is tough too with all these great choices. I'm going to just keep it pretty cut and dried, straightforward. 13-2 overrun for the Penguins. Give me that over 6.5. Florida and Pittsburgh. Florida's still showing some pep offensively the last couple of games. Remember, they were up 5-0 after the first period against Ottawa. I think they can probably score on this Pittsburgh team. Pittsburgh just doesn't shut teams down. Florida's still playing with a good amount of energy. Pittsburgh, obviously, I think will light up this short-handed Florida team off that loss to Tampa Bay. Again, 13-2 is the run for overs in Pittsburgh games. So let's go with that Panthers-Penguins over 6.5 for my best bet. Shout out to everyone in the chat at the like button. We appreciate it very much. Great Saturday slate. Looking forward, of course, to the Sunday card as well. Join us for that tomorrow. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we are back Sunday, noon Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.